2 years ago, you fixed your approval process. You cut the committee, you built the 3 lanes, and for about 6 months, your content moved. Then you looked up, and there were 37 names on the approval list again. Every cut was waiting 2 weeks, and your best people were quietly updating their CVs. Hi, I'm Asher, and you're listening to Content is Currency. Today, we are talking about the approval layer and the uncomfortable truth that approval is the one system in your whole operation that grows back after you cut it. By the end of this episode, you will know how to install the maintenance system that keeps it cut. Let's go. Here is how it grows back. Something goes wrong. A claim slips through that legal did not love, or a post lands badly, or an executive sees something they did not expect. And the fix every single time is the same. We add a reviewer. To make sure this never happens again, one more person now has to sign off on everything. It is completely reasonable in the moment. The problem is that nobody ever removes one. Reviewers are added by incident and removed by nobody. So the list only ever grows. 2 weeks becomes 3. The bench you built in episode 15 starts to rot in the queue. And the velocity you fought for leaks away one reasonable addition at a time. Think about a gardener and a hedge. You can spend a hard weekend cutting a wild hedge into a clean, sharp shape. It looks perfect on Sunday night. But a hedge is not a thing you shape once. Walk away for 2 years, and it is a wall of bramble again, taller and messier than when you started. The shape was never the achievement. The standing appointment to trim it is. Your approval process is the hedge. The pilot episode was the hard weekend. What almost nobody installs is the standing appointment. So why does approval specifically always grow back? Because it is the one process where adding feels safe and removing feels dangerous. Adding a reviewer has an obvious upside. We catch the next mistake and no visible cost, because the cost is hidden inside everyone else's waiting. Removing a reviewer has an obvious risk. What if the thing they would have caught gets through and no visible reward? So every rational person every time adds. Nobody is being careless. The incentives only point one way, and a process where the incentives only point one way does not need a villain to end up broken. It just needs time. The fix is a maintenance system that makes removal as routine as addition. I call it the approval layer, and it runs in 3 lanes. Lane 1, the named owner. One person per channel owns the approval list, not a committee, and they are the only one who can add or remove a reviewer. Lane 2, the quarterly audit. Every quarter, the owner removes 1 reviewer per lane, on purpose, by default. Lane 3, the pre-approval pass. Any asset that already cleared the brand pack from episode 15 and the voice gate from episode 14 skips 2 reviewers automatically. Own it, subtract on a schedule. Reward the work that earned trust. Let me walk each one. Lane 1, the named owner. The reason approval lists grow is that they belong to everyone, which means they belong to no one. So you give each channel a single named owner of its approval policy. Not the approver of the content, the owner of the list. They are the only person who can add a reviewer, and just as importantly, the only person who can remove one. When the next incident happens and someone says we need to add a reviewer, there is now a specific human who has to weigh that against the cost, because they also own the velocity. A list with an owner can shrink. A list owned by a committee only ever grows, because no one in a committee has ever been thanked for removing a safeguard. Lane 2, the quarterly audit, and this is the engine. Once a quarter, the owner removes 1 reviewer from each lane. Not if there is a problem, not if someone complains. By default, forced subtraction. It feels reckless the first time, and that feeling is exactly why it works, because that feeling is what has been quietly blocking every removal for years. Most of the time, the removed reviewer was rubber stamping anyway, and nothing breaks. Occasionally, you remove 1 too many, something slips, and you add them back, now with real evidence that they actually do something. Either way, you have replaced a list that only grows with a list that breathes. Lane 3, the pre-approval pass. The bench you built in episode 15 owns the brand pack and writes to the voice gate from episode 14. So reward them for it. Any asset that demonstrably cleared the brand pack and passed the voice. Gate skips the first 2 reviewers on the list automatically. Those reviewers are not there to recheck what the system already checked. This does 2 things. It pulls your highest trust, most brand fluent work out of the queue entirely, and it gives the bench a concrete reason to keep owning the brand context, because owning it is what buys their speed. Trust made mechanical is the fastest lane you have. Here is your week. Monday, print your real approval list for 1 channel, every name, and count them. Tuesday, name 1 owner for that list and tell them the velocity is theirs now, not just the safety. Wednesday, run the first audit, remove 1 reviewer per lane and write down what you expect to break. Thursday, wire the pre-approval pass. Anything that cleared the brand pack and the voice gate skips the top 2. Friday, put the next audit in the calendar as a recurring event, because the whole system is really just that recurring event with an owner attached. Cut the hedge, then keep the appointment. I'm Asher. This was Content is Currency from Table 8. We'll see you next episode.